I'm going to be revealing Population Zero on stream today, which is very exciting. I have no affiliation with Population Zero or the development studio. This is not a paid promotion or anything like that. The team simply reached out, said they were a fan of the stream, and wanted to reveal the game on my stream, which is super exciting. So let us go ahead and jump into the trailer. We're going to go ahead and get Dimitri on the line. And I even have a camera for you. Here you are. Welcome, Dimitri. Thank you for joining us on the stream.
Hey, I kind of enjoy the comments with all the guesses of what kind of a crossover this game is.
Yep.
We'll get to that, I think. But yeah, hi, I'm Dmitry. I'm the PR guy at Nplex Games, and as you can see, I'm home right now because it's almost 2 a.m. here in Moscow.
Thank you for joining us at 2 a.m. in the morning. Pleasure to have you here, Dimitri. Why don't you go ahead and give us a very brief just overview of what Population Zero is, and then we'll take a look at some gameplay.
So, Population Zero is a survival MMO game where hundreds of players fight for survival on a new alien planet called Kepler. It's actually an existing planet. And it is inspired by a lot of literature, Isaac Asimov, Gary Garrison, and Lamb, and many more. So this game has all the basic survival elements you've already seen in other titles. All the foundation is there. But it also builds upon MMO elements with a lot of PvE, with the tech tree, with the perk system, and stuff like that. I think that's enough of introduction. We could just watch the gameplay. Some views, those will appear from time to time because we had to cut the gameplay to jump to a different part. We start right after the first location. And our main character, our alpha tester, is fighting a monster. The whole battle system has a Souls-like feel to it, and he just got his first perk from fighting said monster. He installed the perk. I will explain the perks a little bit later because we don't have much time during the gameplay footage. I'll explain it when we go deeper into into our conversation. After that, we know the foundation of all the survival games, it's gathering and crafting. So finding out what you need to gather to build your home, your base, your colony, and to craft all the stuff you're gonna need, like guns and melee weapons, armor, and something that will be helpful when it's toxic around you, for example. You'll need to find all the necessary resources for that. Right now, he's collecting Bractus, which gives different types of resources. And the wheel to your right shows to the player's right. It shows what kind of resource you might get. There is a Quar out there, but I don't think I actually have the footage of a fight. Yeah, I don't, because I think he lost the fight, so I didn't want that to go into now. Some more footage of gathering, because it's a big part of any game. of this type. One of the things our guys at the office really love is how everything is being destroyed as you gather stuff. Everything breaks down into pieces, and well, it looks pretty neat, I think. At least we like to think so. So the time has come. Well, it's night time in the game, and he decided to craft some basic stuff like the workbench and the first fireplace, I think. Um, we'll get to different part of gameplay real soon, but for now, I'd like to explain crafting a little bit. When you craft stuff, when you gather enough materials to craft stuff, like those reinforced gloves, you can see there are a lot of stats coming with each and every equipment piece. And when you switch materials you craft it with, you will also see that the stats of the piece you craft, they change. That's actually a little neat mechanic we've decided to add, because it will help people to prioritize some stats before others. After he's done that, he decided to go hunt some other alpha tester, because he needs resources to build his house. And he actually got his first gun, and he got the guy pretty quickly. This is the location for the first quest in the game, and we have a narrative quest line. So he got the guy, and he's got his goods, and then he's right after he's done with him, he's prepared to build his first house. Oh, right, totally forgot. You need to activate some stuff on your tech tree before you can build or craft or do anything like that. So as you go deeper into the tech tree, it will be harder to get new things, and to, it kind of works like a building Path of Exile. You can't get everything. You have to prioritize stuff. Right here, he prioritizes crafting armor and building simple tools. But the tier 1 level of technology tree allows you to have, well, pretty much everything, as long as you're willing to sacrifice the resources shown above, like the R1 resource, R2, and the mechanics, metallurgy, chemistry, and survival resources. If you're willing to sacrifice everything for that first part of tech tree, you will be able to craft primitive constructions, primitive gear, and primitive armor. But as you go deeper and into the tech tree, you will have to prioritize stuff. A short break before he starts building. A quick disclosure: the building is in its pre-alpha stage right now, and the UI is going to change. Our guys are working, tirelessly day and night to see that the UI is very intuitive and works well with the environment we have. I'll talk about tech tree more a little bit later during our conversation, because I'm pretty sure I haven't really said much about it. We'll get to it. So, building. One of the things we hated about survival games is how you build like those boxes, and they're square and they're all identical. They're all the same. And so we decided to give our players the opportunity to build different stuff, to build it, round corners, strange constructions, so that you can have, some kind of uniqueness to your building. That's basically how we wanted our building to go. We'll discuss how it incorporates into the gameplay once again a little bit later into the discussion. As he was finishing the roof, I think he ran out of materials to build, and he decided to go to hunt somebody else to get more materials. The catch is he forgot his weapons, and he went into PvP with a stick.
That's a bit of an oversight.
Yes, I think I won't spoil the thing that comes ahead, but I think he got killed pretty quickly by a much stronger character than he is. There is no leveling in the game, but the tech tree, the perk tree, building and crafting, they're all supposed to be the ultimate, leveling kind of thing. You also have all the PvE with different types of monsters. There are quite a few monsters on the first biome already. I think it's 9 or 10 different types of monsters. And hunting some of them alone will be, well, pretty much impossible. They're too hard to kill alone. So having somebody, let's say someone from your guild or from your faction, will be really important during that kind of hunt to gather the rare resources.
Right.
Here, I think that's the moment where he goes to hunt somebody. Yep, that's it. There is a guy who is trying to interact with the small fauna of the planet. Those small creatures are called Utes. We'll talk about them later. But yeah, that was a quick death. Um, you should not go into a fight with a root stick. Never ever. Um, I skipped the part where he decided to gather his side, and he decided to gather resources on his own to build the second part of his like his little colony, his single player colony. He's built this small, I don't know, what would you call it, a barn, I guess. And he puts everything he needs for crafting inside. The tanning bench, the workbench, the fireplace. There are quite a few more things you can put in, but those are mostly high tier, and he didn't get there yet in the time he had to spend with the game. Some of the stuff is still in development, so we're not ready to show it as well. Yeah, but that's it. That's how the building works. At the end of the gameplay footage, we've decided to show off what a guild could do when it comes to building and fighting monsters. What if you gather a party and go hunt some, I don't know, huge beast? Or what would happen if you and your friends decide to build a really huge colony? It's gonna look something like that. This guy, he's called Sakrim. Sakrim. I'm not sure how we're.
That's
I think
awesome.
it's Sakrim. Yeah, he has tons of interactions with wildlife. I've seen tons of amazing animations. Unfortunately, we can't show them off just yet. We want to save something for later reveals of gameplay and the wildlife of the planet. But the party just gathered to kick this guy's ass. Oh, are we allowed to say that? Yeah, I think we
That's
are.
okay. Yes.
I skipped the part where he kills them all. So yeah. Here is what happens when you group up and build stuff. I mean,
It's a nice looking base.
when we saw the buildings our guys did for this showcase, we were really amazed ourselves. The system is there, but we didn't see what it can actually do in game already. So yeah, I think that's it for our gameplay footage for now. Uh, we'll share tons more of gameplay mechanics, gameplay fights, and stuff like that later on. And I hope you guys enjoyed what you saw.
Thank you very much for the overview. Pretty cool looking stuff. I'll leave the gameplay like running in the background while we have a little bit of a discussion here. I got it on a loop because I'm fancy.
That
Ooh-wee.
bacon bridge, though, yeah, the bridge looks well. It's actually built of sticks and tons of leather and some stones, but that's tier one building.
Yep.
As you progress, you get like tier two is much better. Tier three, it has metal in it, and so on and so forth. The further you go, the better it looks.
I love the look of look of that giant monster turtle creature thing. It kind of reminds me of the
Thank you.
turtles that would have like the island on their back. YouTube is
I'll
not
tell the
cooperating with
animation
me though.
team they work really hard on that, and our art team as well.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. Like when you guys reached out and were asking whether I'd be interested in hosting on the stream. That stood out to me first was like a rather interesting and kind of cool looking art style. So I guess let's kick things off with what inspired the art style. Where does this come from? Because it's a pretty distinctive style, I think.
Yeah, it's actually inspired by a lot of literature of 70s and 80s sci-fi literature. I said before, it's geniuses like Isaac Asimov, like Gary Garrison and Lamb. They are pretty much our inspiration. We've started working on the game in 2016, and back then, just to clarify, No Man's Sky was nowhere near even its announcement, I think,
Yeah.
and we were not looking into that particular art style. The colors are a little bit similar, but for
Yeah.
now we've only revealed one biome, the one you see here. It's called Savannah. The next biome, I'm not gonna name it just yet, but it has a totally different look. It will not look anything like, um, well, maybe a little bit like Subnautica, but we love Subnautica and Firewatch back at the office.
Yeah.
So those are our inspirations as well, by the way.
Nice.
But it won't look anything like No Man's Sky by the time you actually visit the second biome.
Well, I've been pretty. As I said, it was one of the things that captured me was like the environments and some of the foliage and fauna and things like that. And definitely captured my imagination a little bit. So very cool to see. Let's kind of
Thanks.
cut to it a little bit because I mean we're talking survival game here. There's been a lot of survival games released in recent years in let's say various states of completion. What are your thoughts on like the genre overall and what kind of makes this game stand out and something that people should keep an eye on and be excited about?
Right, right. The genre itself is actually huge. It has really tons of players
Yeah,
who
definitely.
enjoy the gameplay, who enjoy the system. There are not enough good games on the market. The ones that are finished, not buggy, the ones where you don't die falling through textures or anything
Yep.
like that. Just to clarify, I'm not talking about any specific project at all.
It's most of them.
But well, yeah, I'm pretty sure I have never ever during playing this piece of pre-alpha, I have never ever fallen through any kind of texture.
It's a good start,
That
definitely.
yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So we don't want that kind of early access product on the market. We want to
mm,
do a well polished game by the end of 2019, and we will only release it on PC to make sure we have everything right before rushing to any console whatsoever. So we want a finished product. It will come out on PC, and then we will look at what's on the horizon.
mm,
Basically, what's going to separate us from most of the um, titles uh, that have a lot of bugs in it is the fact that we have a team of 50 people working on the game.
50?
Most survival 50, 50.
Yeah, wow.
Most of the titles are usually made by a small studio, by an indie developer. We love those indie developers, but they don't have enough hands on their deck to provide the quality when the game releases. They have to work on it for the next 3-4 years to get it to where the games are today. Like um, we've all played Rust in our studio. We've wasted countless hours playing Rust, and I remember Rust back in its legacy days, like 7 years ago, I think. It was hard to play, but we still enjoyed it. But the Rust we see today, it's an almost finished game.
Mm,
They're pretty much done with the main features, and it's a really enjoyable game. What
yeah.
we're aiming at is not spending 7 years to do that. That's why we have a
Nice.
huge team working on the game. Um, yeah, that's the second part. What separates us from many survival games. The third part is, of course, the blend of survival and MMO. First of
Mm,
all, having parties, guilds, and factions is something that hasn't, well, not factions for sure. It has not yet been realized in the genre. Secondly, the amount of players on a server is at least a few hundred. So if you join a server, you know there is a lot of people playing, and you know this world is easy to engage. Like, imagine, I don't know, Path of Exile being a solo instance even in the cities. It would feel a little bit empty. But when you see other people, when you see their progression, when you can trade with them, it feels a lot more lively, right?
True, yeah.
So that's what we aim for. We don't want a 40 or 24 or 60 player service. We're aiming for at least a few hundred players per server.
Nice.
That's part of an MMO aspect as well. Tech tree and perk tree, we'll discuss them once again a little bit later, but those things are your character progression. That's what makes them unique in some ways, because finding the perk you really want is gonna be hard. Those are sometimes randomized, those have random rarity, and if you find the one you love, you should install it quickly on your character, spending resources once again. Tech tree and the perks, they share the same resource pool to spend. So after installing the perk, you know you're gonna lose something in the tech tree, and vice versa. So install the perk as soon as you can, because if you die, you might lose it. Yeah,
Okay.
I
So
think that's yeah.
So it sounds like you've got a pretty good like list of things that you're seeking to like distinguish the game from, you know, a lot of the other survival games out there, and in particular it being much more of an MMO than a lot of them. It sounds like. You also mentioned earlier quests and like a narrative storyline stuff, because that's also a point of distinction. I think that's not a very common thing. I can't really think of many games that have
Absolutely,
done that in that sort of
absolutely.
genre.
We're not gonna have the classic World of Warcraft style NPC with an overhead exclamation mark.
Right.
That's not how we want to do that. We want to do a narrative storyline where you inspect the game world, where you solve its mysteries, find everything hidden on Kepler by going through different points of interests, locations, stuff like that, and you uncover the storyline, the mystery of what happened to the colonists, of what happened on this planet before you have arrived, and a lot of other things I can't really talk about right now. We're not talking about the lore just yet. Yeah, by going through a lot of different locations, some of them really hard to navigate, others are really dangerous. In some there are monsters, others have toxic fields, and you have to prepare before you go and try to complete part of the story. So yeah, that's a part of the process as well. That's
Okay, and
a
that
part of a MMO part of the game. Yeah,
yeah, and that kind of takes it from being just a pure sandbox, which is where you 100% have to set your own goals, otherwise you
true. It's
don't
gonna
have
be a
anything to
theme
do.
park, not a sandbox.
Okay, so
We're not leaving you to your own devices. At any point of the game, you will have objectives.
okay, so there's always going to be some kind of the game's going to be giving you some goals that you can work towards
Yes.
specifically. Ah, interesting stuff. Since it's got that kind of like more MMO elements and some like direction and things like that, how does something like a server system work? Is it something where you can create your own servers or hop between servers, or are you select a server with one character and then you're on that? That's your MMO style server.
It's gonna be an MMO style server. You can create a server. We will be hosting those, and it will look a lot like a usual MMO lobby with shards. It's not finalized yet. We're still thinking of the details, and we're pretty sure it's gonna be like that. But in the future, if people demand it, and we're listening really closely to our community, if people demand it, we will add RP servers, we will add PvE servers. For people who enjoy those aspects of
Okay.
the genre more.
Yeah, all right, cool. So open to the idea of that. Yeah. How are you approaching the like development of the game and the like payment model of the game then? Because you guys seem to be not super fans of the perpetual early access side of things.
Yes, we don't enjoy the trend of the last few years with the early access games that then go into development after raising the funds from players. They show some kind of a prototype, they raise the funds, and then it takes them like 3 to 5 years to get to the point where the game is playable. Some of them never actually see the end of that process.
Yep.
Um, that's well, the industry is quite harsh that way, but that actually sparked an idea in us that we don't want to start any kind of Steam early access. We don't want to be on Steam for that as well, just to not be associated with the system. We're gonna have forms for our alpha testers and pre-alpha testers. They can fill those out, and we'll select people based on their experience in gaming, in survival games, in RPG games, in MMO games, and they will help us test the game. That's first part of our testing process. Well, we're always inviting people to our offices to test the game, like the focus groups who tell us, this is kind of bad, we don't like that, and then we try to remake this part. So the second way of joining our community and the game, the alpha, is by becoming a founder. That's that sounds a little bit similar to early access, but we're not gathering funds this way. This is the way of for us to prove ourselves to our investors, which we do have, which is really rare in Russian industry as well. To have an independent investor for an independent studio, which is 50 plus people,
Yeah.
and having secured at least part of the funds to work with the project. And the founder specs are more of a digital digital deluxe edition. Uh, it's I remember the time when I got the first beta pack for Path of Exile. I still have the forum badge and everything. I really thought back then that this is the way this should work, and it did. And Grinding Gear Games became what they are today, the amazing studio building an amazing game. Um, the feeling never left us, and we want to
Hmm.
strive to become more of an independent, fair studio. So becoming our founder is obviously an option, and you will get access to any pre-alpha, alpha, closed beta, and everything like that. But it is not intended to be an early access kind of thing.
Okay. So more of a traditional closed beta alpha
Yes,
testing model, but
absolutely.
still essentially like a pre-order founder access thing. Okay. All right. Um, so moving on to the more gameplay side of things then, we have been getting some questions from stream chat as well, so feel free to ask them, and our mods are gathering those guys. How will you guys be approaching like the player versus player combat side of things? Especially like what are the stakes, what sort of things can be lost, and how will raiding work and things like that.
This question always comes up when it comes to survival games. I'm gonna tell you from the start, the game will have full loot PvP, but you're only losing what's on you, what you wear, and what is in your inventory. You don't lose any progression you have achieved through the hours you've invested into the game. You won't
Okay.
lose anything in your tech tree. You won't lose any of your perks you have actually installed on your character. Those are with you to stay. And furthermore, um, as you progress through the tech tree, it will be easier to skip parts of crafting and building.
Mm,
So even if you die, you will rebuild a lot faster. We're gonna have a few systems implemented so that veteran players won't hunt new players. First of all, every new player will have an instanced beginner's location where they
Okay.
will learn about how the game works, about how you build stuff, how you craft stuff, what heals you and what kills you. This is a very important part here. So when you're dropped into the world, you're not just a naked dude with a stone in your hands. You actually know what to do next. Also, you have your quest line in front of you with the radar above your head, to go and try that part if you want from the very beginning. So when you do the PvP and you die, I'm pretty sure you're gonna lose your equipment. But as I said before, you will craft it much faster as you progress through your tech tree.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that can be a big thing. Like in a lot of the other survival games, is once you get killed and your base gets raided, that one time you pretty much quit the server at that point and start again because you're back to exactly zero at that point. And if you're a week in or something like that, that's pretty much game done. So in this case, it sounds like you're still getting a lot of character side progression that isn't lost, but all like gear and resources and stuff can be lost, which
yes.
means it's quicker to catch back up effectively. So you might not necessarily feel like quitting at that moment. Is that the idea there?
Absolutely. One more thing I forgot to mention. Raiding is a huge part of the game, obviously, but we have a system in the works. I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but this system will allow players who are gonna get raided to know beforehand that they are going to get raided and to get prepared.
Ah, okay.
There
So
is
that's
They could move, they could reinforce, there are a lot of things they could do, but there is a system like that.
interesting. So that's kind of like, I guess that's another thing with these games is like, are you just online 24/7? Because if when you go to sleep, is your base going to get raided while you're offline? So this will have some system that will give you a chance to get on and defend yourself. Is that the
Yes, a
idea?
good chance, actually. uh,
Okay.
don't forget about the guilds. If you have a guild colony, I'm pretty sure some of the people will always be online. Like some go to
Yeah.
sleep, others come online, others, like the cycle of, yeah, the usual thing. And you always meet the midnighters who play at night, and they will help with defending your fortifications, which will actually contain some resource spawns, perhaps they will have to defend, and that's an important part of the process.
This is just a fun question, but do you guys have plans for anything like booby traps or turrets or any of those sorts of defenses things that you can defend your base with, or is it purely player-based defense?
No, there is a lot of this kind of stuff in the works, and I'm pretty sure we'll have some defensive mechanisms sooner or later.
Cool.
Right now, they're not implemented, but they will be.
Nice. Cool. Awesome. So on the whole, then, is it is the idea that like getting your stuff raided or having your base destroyed and your stuff taken, is that on the more kind of like difficult side of things to defend? Like, is it difficult to defend or is it kind of like easy to defend? Whereabouts are you kind of like trying to position the difficulty of raiding someone versus defending your own stuff from like a
Uh,
balancing perspective?
do you remember the time where you had to at least hit like level 75 to be able to do the righteous fire build?
Yep.
Like, this is a matter of balancing. It's truly a matter of balancing, and people testing and our founders who will join us early on, they will help us with the balance, with the feedback, and we'll know where this sweet spot of
Yeah.
defense versus offense lies.
So essentially, you're going to be looking to the community to decide kind of where people enjoy this game in terms of
Absolutely,
that.
community is definitely a part of development.
Okay. No, very cool. Um, what does what does you've mentioned a few times like the tech and the character progression and stuff like that. What does that look like once you start like acquiring a lot of it? What does end game look like in this game?
Um, well, first of all, don't forget the quest line. It will be pretty hard to do alone or early on, and that's something you should always look forward to. Secondly, the world is going to be pretty big. We're going to have a lot of biomes by the time we release the game. And going through those will take quite a lot of time, and seeing all the mysteries, learning all the mysteries, seeing all types of stuff you can do is part of an in-game process. Secondly, guilds versus guilds and factions versus factions. That's a very important bit of our end game content. You can't simply exist on this planet. It's built for people who enjoy dominance. Where this is a game where solo players can be can do their thing. They do they. But when you're in a guild, you strive to conquer, to dominate, and the moment you hit that end game mark, doing guild raids and hunting the top tier monsters is gonna take priority for you. I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay, so big monster raids and raiding other people and trying to carve out an area for yourself. Especially because it sounds like the world's going to be pretty big. The idea might be that people can kind of like only really kind of maintain control of certain areas or something like that. Because I
Yep,
know I was talking to
it
you
will
guys
be it
before.
will be layered as well.
Oh, okay.
We have underground.
Wow.
Uh, I was about to call those to name what underground thing that is. I'm not allowed
Go
yet,
on.
and we're gonna have locations building up.
Building up locations.
Yeah, yeah.
Very, very curious. I wonder what that could mean. I don't know if you mean like sky bases or like plateaus or
I don't know. I don't know.
secrets.
Anything could be. Yep. For now, it's a secret.
Okay, that's very interesting. I had no idea about that. That it's going to be like some underground stuff as well. If I play this, I might be a mole man and live underground.
Yeah, that's gonna be possible, I think.
So that kind of transitions into my other question: is are you guys planning this going to be a game that's built around like server restarts? Like I know some of these games only survive on the fact that they kind of regularly reset, or is it
Nope.
something where it's like a server stays forever?
Yes, the servers are going to be persistent. No restarts on the servers whatsoever. We want to build a world which is conquered by players. Uh, Something not unlike the real world where we, cut the trees, build the roads, build the houses, and we claim this territory is our own, and we say nature you can be elsewhere and we're building here. And yeah, and that's kind of
It's putting it politely.
thing we want to have. We want to have those huge, maybe even uh, colony like cities built by guilds, by factions, and we don't want to wipe that kind of progress.
Okay, yeah, I can certainly see the appeal of that side of things, though it does raise its own like questions and potential problems. Is like in a lot of these games, the reason why they have resets so frequently is because someone gets geared up, someone builds a big guild, and they just dominate everyone and roll over them and constantly to the point where like no one else wants to play on the server. Then those people are alone, so that they don't want to play either. How do you guys kind
Yep.
of deal with that situation?
We're actually working really hard on implementing every system our game designers have devised to to break that kind of behavior where one group of people dominates the whole server. First of all, I've been saying factions a lot for now for the past like 40 minutes, but faction based gameplay allows even solo players come together as a group to hunt down those who decided they're the best and those who claim the whole territory as their own. So the whole mechanic is there not to just spawn mass PvP battles, but also to keep those strong players at bay.
Okay. So is there going to be kind of some like size limits to how many people can band together in either guilds or factions, or Is that something that's...
Factions are a choice, like Alliance or the
Okay.
Horde in World of Warcraft. While guilds will have limitations as to how much people can join.
Hmm.
Groups will consist pretty much always. It's a 4 people group, I think. For now, we aim at a 4 people group. Maybe later we'll tweak something on that matter. But right now the plan is 4 people groups. And the thing is, when you choose your faction, you can still play with your friends if they decide to go a different way, because factions are tied to lore, and they how should I put it without revealing anything I can't reveal right now? They change your appearance a lot.
Okay. Is this
This
related
is
to this like nature versus science thing
it,
that's going
it
on?
kind of it kind of is. It also evolves around a mutations mechanic and some other stuff. Once again, it's in the lore. I can't talk about that right now. But yeah,
Okay. But let's just say that the character we're like seeing on screen here could be entirely different if you're a different faction. Is that the idea there, or?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's
All
that's
right.
how it's supposed to be.
Okay. We can potentially leave that there for now. In the meantime, I've been getting some good questions from chat. So what engine is the game built on? Is one question.
It's built on a highly modified Unity engine. We've decided on Unity rather than Unreal Engine because Unity allows a lot more players to enjoy the game. It doesn't strain the end user PC as much as pretty much every other strong engine out there. While Unity actually allows you to have amazing graphics in game.
How many different biomes have you got planned? You mentioned multiple biomes and kind of like
I
world
can't
size
I
as well.
can't say how
Oh,
many,
secrets.
but it's no, I can't. I'm gonna get my ass whooped if I say anything about that.
I can tell that you want
Sorry.
to, though. I
Yes, I
appreciate.
want to. I've seen the other biomes. I've seen how lightning works there. I really want to talk about it, but I can't. Maybe at a different time we will do special biomes reveals with you, Ziggy, if you
Ooh.
if you're up for that. But for now, I can't.
What about like just world size in like a general sense? Because it sounded to me like you guys are aiming pretty big here, and that certainly you would need to support the number of players you're looking to support.
The world size, by the time the game is released in 2019, will be 25 square kilometers large. But once again, don't forget that it goes up as well as underground.
Okay.
It's gonna be much larger than the square kilometer.
You mentioned like a lot of support for groups like the guild factions groups, that sort of things. Will a solo player be able to find a place here in this world? Will they be able to do something meaningful, have a meaningful experience?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're putting up a system where a group of players or a veteran player rather doesn't have much incentive in killing a weaker player or even a solo player. It's not gonna be their priority. So people who want to enjoy the game on their own will be able to do so. And crafting and gathering is gonna be only hard for at first. But as you die, you will die a lot. I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay.
As you die, you still progress through your tech tree, and it will get faster and easier, even for a solo player, to survive in this world. I think for a solo player, a lot more goes into the word survival than for a group of players. They
Hmm.
can be a little bit more efficient than a solo guy.
As a solo, more of the game takes more survival tone rather than like a building and empire
At
building
first,
tone.
at first for sure, because building a huge like colony, a solo player can do that. It's possible. He's gonna need tons of resources, and that's possible. But Do you really want that kind of attention from other players? I mean, building something huge means that you can defend that. And I'm not sure that solo players should do that if they want to, survive and prosper in the dangerous world of Kepler.
Well, since you said that there's underground, we can, if we want to play solo, we can be cave hermits and just hide in a cave somewhere.
Yes, build barricades and hide. Some rare resources are actually hidden in the depths of the planet. So I'm pretty sure people will come looking for those, and they might just find you.
It could be interesting to delve down there, guys. You mentioned build wise, you can't get everything. You said it's like a Path of Exile build that you have to go for specific things. Will you be able to like respec or change those in any way after you've selected a path?
We have not decided on that yet,
Okay.
and we hope for players' feedback to see their reaction on how everything works. Can you pause the video for a moment here?
Yeah.
Do we have? There is supposed to be the resource. See, when he's upgrading, he's using resources for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see like these ones here.
Yeah, and those resources, at first, they're easy to come by.
Okay.
But as you progress through the game, it's harder and harder to get them. I'm not sure why the screen is cut a little bit from the top, because all the resources are up there. You can see them all there. And as you progress through the games, those become harder, as I said, to come by, just like leveling in MMORPG or in an ARPG game, where like the first 20 levels you progress really quickly, you get a lot of
Yeah.
I don't know, health nods or stuff like that. But after a while it gets harder to get what you need. The same applies to the perk and tech tree systems here.
Okay. The world's all handcrafted or like procedurally generated? How
No
do you?
procedural generation. This is the big difference from, well, said, I don't know, No Man's Sky. No procedural generation. Our art team and level design teams, they're working really hard to build this world, and they do it by hand. They discuss each and every special location, each and every point of interest. And that's why we can have points of interest. They don't generate randomly. We build them, and each of them is going to be unique. And building this kind of a huge map takes a lot of effort. And after we saw what procedural generation does with the assets we've created, we've decided we're actually ready to waste our energy and our resources to build the world by hand.
I don't think that's a waste. I'm actually really glad to hear that because, as I said, the thing that captured me about this was like the world looks super interesting, and I
Thanks.
think you'll be able
I
to
guess
create
the
some really cool
word the
stuff.
word choice was incorrect.
I think, but yes, I don't think it'll be a waste. I think that'll be well appreciated by people. Will some character progress be gated by being a member of a guild, like guild-only building to do research tech and build stuff? Yeah, it's true. Some games will have things locked only behind guild content, or is everything technically doable by just solo player, but slow?
I can't go into specifics.
Okay.
I can't talk much about factions or guilds, but there are a lot of mechanics concerning those that will affect your character.
Okay. Do you guys have? I know it's pretty early, but have you guys thought about long-term post-launch support? How do you envision this seeing the game go after you have a
Right.
theoretically successful launch?
Right. Every game has those interest spikes where people enjoy the game, and then they hit some kind of an end game where they have actually seen everything that the game has to offer.
Yep.
That's the moment where this interest of players begins to decline. After a while, you hit the bottom, like what happened to, let's I don't want to name any projects really because it's like, you're kicking somebody.
When they're down.
But let's say, yeah. Oh, I know. Path of Exile is actually a very good example. As soon as the interest becomes low, they announce the next expansion with new mechanics, and you start again in a new league where you have different things to discover. This time is about 3 months. So every 3 months, you have to provide your players with something new. We have not decided on what time span we're gonna take before we release new content updates. But we will release them in. We're gonna have a timeline of releasing new pieces of content, so that players never hit that bottom line of interest.
Okay.
I hope I actually managed to explain
Yeah, I
what.
mean, it's pretty hard to ask that question this early on into a project, but
Yes.
people are always kind of curious to know like long-term ideas the developers have, so they can get personally invested in the game and get
Yep.
excited. So thank you for that. Chat really wants to know if there's going to be natural disasters in the game. I guess like it includes things like
We
weather
have
and stuff too.
We have a lot of plans on that method as
Really?
well. Yes, but right now you can by joining even now you will find toxic canyons in the game, some
Hmm.
locations that kill you, but you have no idea why they do that for now. If you manage to gear yourself up to investigate, you might find the source of what's happening. So
Mm.
even though there is no specific, you know, uh, mm, let's say, I don't know, toxic rains at the moment, you already have hazardous locations in the game.
Okay. I wasn't gonna ask that question because I was like, chat's just being silly, but chat really wanted to know, and then you actually had a really cool answer, so thank you. Do you have any do you have anything that you guys really wanted to tell people about that I haven't asked?
Just the fact that we really work hard on the game. I see the team every day. I'm not a programmer myself. I do the publicity stuff. But what the guys do every day at the office, staying from early hours till like 11 o'clock, till the guards from downstairs come and tell us to leave. It's really huge, and I think they put a lot of effort into it. A lot of people left their like warm job positions. I don't know, warm job positions. I mean, they left good paying jobs to do that, uh,
Yep.
to do the game they want to make, because in Russian industry it's kind of rare to see indie development the size of an A+ title
Yeah.
with a lot of people working on it. It's really hard to get the money, to get the finances, because investors are really hard to come by, and those you do find, they usually don't understand the specifics of how gaming works. The fact that you can't give them the absolutely mathematically um, correct projection of how everything is going to work, how you're going to earn money, how you're going to do stuff. And for now, we hope that we truly enjoy the relationship we have with our investor, who believes in our project and who saw the earliest of prototypes to decide to invest in us. And we want to prove to him through our alpha tests and through the founders we hope to reach to and to get, that we're actually on the right track.
Yeah, well, 50 people is a huge team like this, and for a project like this, and it sounds like some people, like left their jobs because it's a bit of a passion project, something they want to get into. So that's really good to
Yes.
hear, and I certainly hope it goes well for you guys. If people are interested in the game, how can they like follow its progress and keep apprised of news and things like that?
Oh, you can go to pzonline.com and you can join the alpha program. You can join the founders if you decide to do so. You can actually learn a lot about the game from our main website. You can follow us on social media. We have a Twitter account. We have a YouTube channel. We've actually uploaded the trailer as we started the conversation.
Oh,
Yeah, and we're going to reach media as well with that trailer. You're gonna have you can join our Discord channel where our community is always active. I wish I could actually give you the links right now, but typing them and talking would be a
I
bit
can sort
impossible.
that out for people. It's all good.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So Discord, Facebook, Twitter, email, subscribing, which is also an option if you want to follow us that way. Uh, Pretty much everything every good project should have nowadays, we do have. But the main thing where you really should go if you enjoyed listening to or watching the footage is the pzatonline.com.
Perfect, perfect. And people will be able to sign up for like alphas and betas without needing to
Yep,
necessarily buy the founders packs as well, right?
yep.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for firstly choosing to like show things off on the stream here and join us and answer our questions. And thank you for doing so in such a good fashion. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ziggy. Have a good stream.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll catch you later. Well, guys, there we have it. There's our reveal for Population Zero. I hope you guys enjoyed. I thought that was pretty cool. They have a tough push, I think, to get people's attention in the survival game genre. But at the same time, people that are interested in survival games are also really looking for something like solid that they can sink their teeth into. And the options are somewhat limited, especially if you want something that's mostly finished. And although they're in like a pre-alpha state now, they have a much larger team than most of the other developers working, on survival games. And just it seems like they have a bit of a different angle with the survival MMO side of things. So it's rather intriguing. And like having spoken to them and heard a bit about the team and stuff like that, they seem kind of sweet. I really hope that it does well. I think the environments are beautiful too, man. Like I love this as a background. Oof, so pretty. But there you have it. And also a milestone for me, my first ever game reveal. Woohoo! Awesome. That was really cool. Actually, looks interesting for a survival game that's saying a lot in 2018. I think that is saying a lot in 2018, isn't it? I think that is saying a lot in 2018. As I said, it's a little bit of a tough push, but I think they're doing a pretty decent job of it.